It's hard to believe, but 2023 has come and gone and brought a lot of change to Jailbreak. But was this a good year for the game, and how good were the updates? I'm going to discuss this today by ranking all of the updates from worst to best, and afterwards I'm going to discuss what I thought of the year overall and the current state of Jailbreak. Keep in mind this is just my opinion, you're totally free to disagree with me, just make sure to be respectful about it. If you enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. And let's get started by ranking all of the updates from worst to best. In last place, we have the September 2023 update, aka the return of Battle Royale. I was very disappointed with how game modes were originally executed in Jailbreak. They had several problems, like the fact that they required Robux to activate and that they needed the participation of the entire server. Therefore, they were seldom used and eventually removed, but I was still hopeful that someday they could be brought back and significantly improved. Unfortunately, the return of Battle Royale did not fix any of my problems I had with game modes. In fact, it's somehow a worse version of the original Battle Royale. It's very tedious to activate and annoying to use since it automatically bans all vehicles above 100k, so you have to manually whitelist every vehicle you want to be allowed. It is hidden exclusively behind private servers, so people who play for free don't have any way to access this game mode. The UI is slightly worse than the original Battle Royale. The original showed how much time was left and a counter of all the players that were left above the minimap. And the new one doesn't have that. You have to just keep looking at the chat. And there's simply no reward or incentive to even do Battle Royale. At least the original version awarded 5k J-Bucks to the person who won. In my opinion, game modes are a concept that have a lot of potential with Jailbreak. They just need to be free and accessible to all players, and there needs to be a way for everyone to participate. I think that, like trading and crew battles, people who want to participate in the game modes should get teleported to a different server or something like that. I think game modes could be integrated into crew battles to add more variety. Of course, I was so happy to get my very own tire in Jailbreak, and I'm truly honored to be recognized in the game. And the Fiasco was a pretty good vehicle, but the way Battle Royale was brought back was so disappointing, so in my opinion, this is the worst update of the year. Then we've got the Season 14/Parisian update. These are technically two updates that came out in the month of February, but I'm combining them together, and this is going to happen several times in this video, as there are several cases of a month having technically two updates, but I'm combining both of them together to make things easier. So initially we were supposed to get crew battles added in February, but Asimo got COVID and there were other unexpected delays, so crew battles got delayed to March. Therefore, the February update ended up being very small and very disappointing for many people. It was pretty much just Season 14 and a map change, so I was very glad that the devs decided to add the limited Parisian the week afterwards to kind of hold us over until the next month. But it was still very small, and I don't think the wait for crew battles was fully worth it, so that definitely doesn't make me look back upon this period too favorably. It was just a very slow and lackluster start for the year. I like the Parisian a lot, and I thought Season 14 was okay. I do like the Proto 08, so this update wasn't necessarily bad, it was just very small. Then we have crew battles. This was an update that was teased for months. The devs mentioned that this probably is the biggest update they've done behind the scenes since they had to write so many lines of code for it. And unfortunately, I don't think it fully lived up to its potential. And several months later, I think it probably needs a bit more reworking. The idea of having groups of players fight each other in a tournament style game mode is a pretty good one, but I don't think it's enough to carry a whole game mode. It was cool to check out crew battles for the first month or so when they were first added, but now I just don't really care for them. They're not really worth my time, and I don't find them that enjoyable anymore. I think there needed to be a bit more variety. Like I mentioned before, I think game modes should be incorporated into crew battles, and maybe add some more interesting rewards instead of just giving drifts. Asimo did mention that they're probably going to go back to crew battles sometime soon and give them a bit more love, and hopefully that makes them a bit more interesting. Then we've got the July update. After 2022 and 2021 had excellent July updates that brought about major change to the game, I was disappointed in this year's July update, but it still brought some good quality of life changes. First off, the devs added 10 more save slots, which was a really nice thing to get and allows for a lot more fun customization options. We also got some cool changes to trading, like the removal of the highly hated times trading feature. So I did really appreciate these changes. However, the main content of the update itself wasn't very substantial. We got the prison bus, which was a fun vehicle to mess around with, but obviously not a great car to use for normal gameplay. This is an update that I think should have had a limited time vehicle event. think that would have slightly improved this update, but I definitely did not hate it. Then we have the NASCAR update. Okay, I guess I lied because this came out in March, the same month as the Crew Battles update, but I do want to talk about it separately since NASCAR updates are kind of their own thing. I love it when Jailbreak collabs with racing companies. I really enjoyed the previous NASCAR events, and I thought this was another great collaboration. In particular, I really enjoyed this one because I was able to live stream when it was around, so I had a lot of fun racing with my subscribers, and it brought about another NASCAR, which is a pretty cool vehicle. It also introduced the semi-truck, which brought about some legendary trolling moments. So in terms of long-term impact, it's pretty negligible, but it was very enjoyable, and I don't really have much to complain about, so I feel like this is a good spot to place it. After that, we've got the April 2023 updates. Basically, the apartment revamp, season 15, and the addition of drifts. First off, I think drifts are a pretty good new customization item. It's pretty cool to drive around and show them off. They're not my favorite customization item though, so I don't care too much for them. We also got adjustments to distance rendering. Buildings that are farther away look far more simplistic until you drive up close to them. I didn't notice a significant change in performance, but I'm glad the devs tried to tackle this at least, since performance issues are still one of the biggest problems Jailbreak has right now. As for season 15, I thought it was a lovely season. Almost every prize worked, and the Shogun is a really nice vehicle. Lastly, for the apartment revamp, I thought it worked really well, except for one major problem: the crew vaults. I still think those have several issues and need some more attention. I'm glad that the customization options for apartments are vastly improved, and it's really good that once you buy one, you keep it forever. But unfortunately, I still don't really think they're quite worth using because the big problems with the crew vaults haven't really been addressed. They're just too much of an inconvenience to use since you need someone else to be in the apartment with you, and many Jailbreak players just play solo since they don't really have anyone to help them. I think it gives a good amount of money now, but it's a pain to set up initially, and it's pretty frustrating to have to keep going back to the house to activate it again. However, I still think this was a good update, and in my opinion, apartments are about 80% fully fixed. If crew vaults get improved, and if each apartment has its own garage for people to spawn vehicles, and maybe their own gun store as well, then I think they'll be perfect. Kicking off the top 5, we have 5 Days of Vehicles 2023. I've really enjoyed pretty much all the previous 5 Days of Vehicles events, and this was no exception. We got some really good vehicles this update, like the Falcon and the successor. I wasn't a big fan of the Chiron revamp, but luckily this issue got addressed in the update succeeding this one, and I'm very happy with the current status of the Chiron, though we'll discuss that later. Another thing I love about the 5 Days of Vehicles updates is that they always fix a ton of issues the game has. For example, this update fixed the bike chassis and made them a lot more fun to use. It also made some quality of life changes, like adding more gems to the tomb, which was something that I was really happy to see since there's been several cases where I go through all the trouble of robbing the tomb only to find an empty vault. So yeah, overall, I thought this was an excellent event. Then we have the prison revamp. To be honest, I did not think the prison needed a revamp. I thought it was perfectly fine after the 2019 revamp, but I was happily proven wrong with this update. I think the new prison looks excellent. I love the escape updates. The sewer looks a lot cooler, and I like the addition of the rusty NPC guy. I do wish that there were at least 1 or 2 more escapes added, because besides the NPC, the escapes are largely the same, just a teensy bit more difficult. Now, I'm not complaining about keeping them the same because I understand that the devs wanted to keep the prison very familiar for people who aren't as experienced, but I do wish that in addition to the familiar escapes, we got a couple new ones to add some more variety. But besides that, I was very happy with the prison revamp. As for season 16, I know several people didn't like this season. I thought it was good. I enjoyed most of the prizes, and I think the Poseidon is a good card. Plus we got Rolling, which is a really cool dynamic and allows for more fun and varied action. Overall, I really liked this update. Kicking off the top 3, we have the most recent set of updates: the Oil Rig Robbery, Season 19, and the Carbonara. I really like the oil rig robbery. I think it could give a little bit more in terms of cash since it takes a long time to rob, but it still pays really well, and I think it's very fun to do. I love all the different steps it has, and it always feels pretty intense. I also really like Season 19. I think it's a much better winter season than the one we got in 2021, Season 7, and I think the prizes are overall very strong. Of course, the Carbonara is an awesome vehicle as well. I kind of think they should have waited until January to release it, since January won't have an update, and this could be a way to hold players over until the next one. But I'm not complaining if we get it early. It's a good car. And finally, the Chiron got a revamp from Pizza Rolls, and now my opinion of it has significantly improved. I think it's an excellent vehicle, and that's totally not due to the inclusion of my logo on the steering wheel. Thank you, Pizza Rolls. I'm eternally indebted to you for that. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a very strong winter update. For the penultimate 2023 update, we have the October update. For years, my biggest issue with Jailbreak was the team balance. I really disliked how neglected the cop team was in comparison to the criminal team, and they made far less money. Well, at long last, the devs finally gave cops their due and made some very welcome improvements. Bounties no longer reset when you die, which is a huge change and significantly improves the amount of money cops get, since it's very easy to die in Jailbreak, so it was very easy to lose a very large bounty. They also made it easier to get higher bounties as well, which allows cops to get more money. These were two rather simple changes, but they did so much for the cop team and putting them on a similar income level to the criminal team. Now, I wouldn't say the cop revamp is perfect necessarily. I think cops should have something like the duffel bag, where if you pay Robux you can get an increase in money. Also, I think cops need to have an endgame collectible item similar to hyperchromes. Putting that aside, I was still very happy with the cop revamp, and I think the cop team is in a very good place. When the devs said that 2023 would be the year of refinement, I was really hopeful that cops would get some love, and I was very happy to see that they ended up getting some attention. I also thought the rest of the update was very good as well. Season 18 was solid, not one of my favorite seasons, but it was pretty good all around. The devs also changed the robbery system to open in certain blocks, and although this was initially unpopular, I think this was a good change and necessary for the game. It forces players to move around the map, and it brings attention to robberies that usually go neglected. Also, there was the problem of too many robberies being open at the same time, so I think it helped alleviate that concern. Oh yeah, and on a final note, Creator City got its own bank, which was an excellent idea. With the addition of the new bank and the implementation of the robbery block system, Creator City gets a lot more attention now, which was also a problem the game had had for a little while. Honestly, I'd like to see the 2019 jewelry store added to Creator City as well. I think the 2019 jewelry store was still perfectly fine for the time, and it holds up to today's jailbreak standards, so it would provide a bit more variety. But the best update this year, in my opinion, was the August update, aka the season revamp. This was also a long-standing issue the game had had. For years, players were complaining about how tedious seasons were to complete due to the repetitive nature of contracts. Even though I was happy that seasons existed since they kept me playing the game, I didn't really enjoy grinding them, and I was hoping for some change. Luckily, the devs gave it to us in this incredible update that I think is one of the best jailbreak updates of all time. Seasons got completely overhauled, and they basically brought back the OG system while putting on a daily XP limit, which I thought was a really good idea. It made seasons a lot of fun since you could basically just play the game normally and play how you liked. For example, you could earn all your XP as a cop, or you could earn all your XP as a criminal robbing certain robberies, and you'd get a daily amount of XP. I'm glad this update also kept contracts around and revamped them to be a weekly thing. I think that's how contracts work best. They serve really nicely as supplements to the season, and I think that works better than just having them be the only thing you do for the season. The season system is pretty much perfect in my eyes. It's enjoyable to do, it keeps me coming back to the game. Prizes are very consistent in quality, and they stick around for a good enough amount of time. They don't overstay their welcome like the OG seasons, but they're not super rushed. I think 2 months is the perfect amount of time for seasons. Now, as for season 17, I thought it was an excellent season with amazing prizes, including the Power 1, which I think is an excellent car. We got the Aperture vehicle event, which, to be honest, I think this should have been delayed to September looking back. Since this update was so good, I think the Aperture could have been cut out without it being hurt, and the September update would have been improved a bit. But putting that aside, I think the Aperture is an excellent car, one of my most used vehicles nowadays, and the revamped high security prison is excellent. I think my only real criticism of this update is that seasons should have restarted here. Season 17 should have been season 1, season 18 should have been season 2, etc. since the new system was so radically different. But that is just a nitpick. Really, this update was incredible. I was so happy we got it. It perfectly dealt with an issue that had been plaguing Jailbreak for a couple of years, so in my opinion, it is the best update of 2023. Overall, I think 2023 ended up being a very good year for Jailbreak, even though I don't think it started out very strong. Once we got to the apartment revamp in April, it started picking up steam. Several long-standing issues that had been plaguing the game for years were finally dealt with, and I think the game just became more polished and refined overall. The only update that I think is bad is the September update that added Battle Royale back. Otherwise, at worst, I thought the updates were rather mediocre, I guess, and at best, I thought they were fantastic. I think 2023 has put the game in a really good position, and I'm very curious to see where it goes next. Honestly, I don't see much room left for improvement. Jailbreak to me feels almost complete, but hey, that leaves me a lot of room to be surprised. Like I discussed here, I think crew battles and game modes need a lot of attention, and I think they could both work really well if they were executed to their full potential. I hope we get another live event this year though. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get one, and I'm not fully sure what it would really entail, since I don't really see how the map can expand much further. Maybe the city will get revamped or something, but hey, I have a lot of goodwill towards the game right now. Even though the best days are behind them, I think the game still pushes out very good updates, and it has a good enough player count. Overall, I was very happy with Jailbreak in 2023. I'm very happy with the current state of the game, and I can't wait to see what 2024 will bring us. But that concludes my evaluation of Jailbreak 2023 and all the updates we got last year. What do you think? What were your favorite and least favorite updates we got last year? What would you like to see in Jailbreak moving forward? Make sure to comment all your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe. Also, I have my own tire in Jailbreak. Use code YouTube NoobFreak to get it for yourself. Big thank you to my channel members No Goodnick and Blake Bryant, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Bye bye.